Hey, what's up, podcasters? The other day I mentioned that a buddy of mine got me these bourbon-themed playing cards, and so I was going to put together a little trick for the podcast. So check this out. Okay, here's a little picture into my bourbon drinking story. It started out like most years where I drank one thing and one thing only, and that was Jack. Every now and then, if you got really adventurous, you may try something else, but for the most part, you just got a couple of buddies together. You went out, you had one, maybe two of those drinks. What were they? What did we used to call it? Oh yeah, Jack and Cokes is what they were. And then the story always went the same. After that, you always did one thing. You tried to pick up on the girl, you know, the pretty girl, the dime piece in the room. You were always after that one, but to be honest, after a couple of Jack and Cokes, you'd settle for a 6 or a 7. It didn't matter. Well, one very faithful night, I was out with a couple of buddies, and we met this girl, and she was beautiful. That's right, she had beautiful, beautiful red hair. Wait, I had 3 or 4 drinks, and she may have actually had black hair to be, no, that's not right either. I had 8 or 9 drinks, and she could have red or black hair. I don't really know which it was, and to be honest, after 8 or 9 drinks, she could have been a clown. I hear that's a thing. I don't really know. And so we got together, and after that, it was probably at least 3 years before I had whiskey again. And when I finally did have whiskey again, it wasn't cheap stuff anymore. It was the good stuff. I thought it was Aces. It was delicious. It was Blanton's, and it was 93 proof. Oh, it was so good. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would have definitely given it a 10. Well, after that, I started really getting into whiskey. I started reading about it, I started studying it, and I learned that I loved rye whiskey. And I had a 4-year Willet Rye from barrel 21. Oh, single barrel, it was incredible. And I just loved it. It was 55% alcohol. That's 110 proof for you, Grease, since I know you don't do math. And man, after that, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. So I went back to buy another bottle, and what I learned is that it was a limited release, which we all know limited releases are the devil. That's right. It was terrible. And so I had to find some new stuff. So I started listening to this podcast I discovered. It was called the Podcask, and it was 2 guys, you know, just 2 normal, everyday guys. And what they did is they drank whiskey, they had a good time. They did this thing called the 15, where they would drink whiskey and review one of them. But it wasn't like reviews I'd heard on other shows. Oh, on a scale of 1 to 100, I give this a 98 and my whatever. It was by bar pass, and I could actually understand that. Even though one of the guys had like an IQ of 43, I was pretty sure it was still good. And actually, I believe after that, the first couple of times I listened to it, I rated it a 4 on iTunes. And then I actually went back and changed that rating to a 5 after I listened to 8 hours straight on a road trip home from Utah. Well, now at this point, my wife, you know, she may not be a big fan of how much money I spent on alcohol, because I spend like 98% of my remaining budget on alcohol. But I did want to say to the 2 guys who don't know Jack, I wanted to say cheers and thank you. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked that. And seriously, Will agrees. I know I took some shots at you, Grease, but thank you guys for what you do. I appreciate it a ton. And cheers.